is skeptical. Skeptical. And if you're skeptical of something, you are doubtful of it, and you don't fully buy it or believe it. So a great example might be the recent news of Choi Soon-sil's daughter. And maybe many people are skeptical that she is innocent, and because she says she had nothing to do with the scandal, so maybe many people are skeptical. They're doubtful. They don't 100% buy that. So you could be skeptical of something. Number 2, plunk down here is just an idiom meaning to buy, basically, to put down the money for something. If you plunk down the money for an Apple Watch, that just means you forfeit that money. You give it up for the item, plunk down. This idiom kind of gives the feeling like someone is almost like they don't want to give up the money, but they do, or like you really get a sense that someone is giving up their money. They're plunking it down. Like they plunk down the money for this. Like, wow, they really sacrificed that money, like in that way. So it's
way to pay.
Right. If you just said that you gave the money, that's not enough. Like, but plunk down really gives that subtle kind of feeling. Number 3, cash strapped. If you're strapped for cash, just means you don't have a lot of money. Doesn't have to be actual physical cash. It can be just your money, your funds. Many people say, I'm strapped for cash. It means it's tight. The money situation is tight. I don't have a lot of money. So many families are cash strapped around Christmas time and the holidays because they're buying gifts for everyone and traveling. And cash strapped. Number 4, must have. Is used to describe products or items that you must have, like highly desirable or sought after. So I guess the Clinique toner is a must-have item for skincare, your skincare regimen. In the video, he talks about the watch is like it doesn't sound like a must-have, like he says, because you don't have to have that. You just want that. But if you must have it, you must have it. It's a necessary to own. Number 5 is a high-value employee, and this is an employee or a worker who is highly valued. Someone who is a hard worker and the management really likes them, and they're probably going to be promoted and have a good career, right? Many companies are looking for high-value employees, and they want to keep those employees. So they're going to get raises, promotions, these kind of things. Not just a hard worker, but a worker who's recognized as being a hard worker and really liked by the bosses and valued. And the last one is a premise, which is kind of like a base or foundational idea that you build on for like an argument or for any kind of plan. Like, for example, the premise might be just like in the video, okay, he mentions, I will take your premise, like, because she mentions that the watch is really necessary for IT departments. So he says, okay, if I accept this premise, this basic idea, then blah, blah, blah. He continues the argument on that premise. So kind of like we say presupposition, or something that you build your ideas or arguments off of is the premise. Right.
Do you use agree with premise as that? I mean, agree with premise?
Well, in the video, that's how he used it. He said, like, okay, if I agree with your premise, then blah, 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 IT departments should do this or that. Right. Or you could say something like, based on this premise, we should do this thing. Right. Companies should invest in this thing, based on this premise. So it's like a foundational idea to build on and or start your argument from that point, kind of.
But which is not always true.
Oh, it can be false. Yeah, false premise. Yeah. Yeah, if you're explaining the mistake that you made, you know, like you could say like, oh, I was operating on this premise, you know, or like and that was my mistake. It was you know, not correct. The United States you could say, yeah, the United States got involved in wars based on the premise that lies, you know, blah blah blah, but really they were going for other reasons. These kind of things. So it can totally be a false thing, not real. Any other questions about this vocabulary?
Can we change the cash into other words?
Yeah, actually the last time this came up, right. I feel like 90% of the time it's money.
Money.
But I suppose you could be strapped for time? Like
Time
I'm
strap?
time strapped, but actually I've never heard that.
Uh,
Strapped for... The other time we saw this, they were talking about resources. Like something is strapped for... We are going to be strapped for resources in the future, like energy. So I've seen that, and... What other situations could you use strapped?
can
Strapped for...
use knowledge or something? No.
Strapped for knowledge, so you don't know much.
Yes. Nope.
I don't think so. I would almost always use it for money or
Money.
something you don't always. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question, Julia. I think I've only heard it with money. Cash strapped.